kitchen leader, anyone in a position of leadership, they should actually become qualified to deliver their dependents from birth and death, to execute their position perfectly. That's what they need to do. And if we're not there yet, then we just have to do our best and try to repeat what's coming down from Prabhupada's books. And I'm struggling with my devotional service to the Lord. I'm not out of material activities and desires, yet I'm trying to do devotional service. Prabhupada says that material and spiritual activities creates an incompatible condition. In such an incompatible situation, will Krishna accept or ever see, or ever sees my humble or meager service? If not, when and how will I be able to do that? Thank you, Prabhu, for your association and guidance, Hare Krishna. So, actually, it is stated in Mantra 11 of the Sri Upanishad, Vidyam cha yastad velo vyam saha, vidyam nritam nritva, nritva, vidritam nishamashmate. That only those who cultivate the nescience and transcendence side by side can overcome the influence of birth and death and achieve the blessings of immortality. So there's nothing wrong with cultivating whatever nescience is required for keeping body and soul together. You need a livelihood, okay. You need an education, that's okay. You can do material activities as far as is necessary for keeping your body fit. You need some money. You're not out in the cold in the winter. You need not sleeping under the trees. You need a warm place. You need some food, clothing, transportation, etc., insurance. These things are required for a healthy life. So you need some income. So that's Prabhupada compares it to the temperature of a living person. 98.6 is healthy. If you go beyond that, especially up to the point of 107, you're getting into trouble. You can die. So a certain amount of material activity is required to stay healthy. But don't go beyond 98.6. Then you're becoming feverish. Don't become feverish about material activities. Take your material activities insofar as necessary to stay healthy. And beyond that, all your energy should go into spiritual life. So it's not incompatible. Vidyam shavidyam yashta dedo vidyam saha. They are not incompatible. There are two tracks on the train. They run side by side. But one track is more important than the other, and that's the spiritual track. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for coming here. My question, you mentioned that Krishna consciousness is not a sectarian process, and that anyone can perfect their life by chanting the name of God in their tradition. However, you also said that to achieve pure devotional service, you must take shelter of a pure devotee via initiation. So my question is, what happens to those who follow the chanting process but never take shelter of a guru? Do they attain a pure devotional service? How do they go back to the spiritual world? That's a very good point they have made. Actually, they should take a guru, a bona fide spiritual master. We had a Baptist minister, for example, in North Carolina, Reese, Reverend Reese, yes. He was on my e-course. And Reverend Reese had been reading Prabhupada's books on the slide, not in front of his congregation. Baptist church, they're very, Reverend Reese, the Baptist minister, is reading Prabhupada's books secretly in his house. And he even has japa beats secretly in his house. Reverend Reese. And Reverend Reese would send me his sermons that he was giving on Sunday to the Baptist, whatever they call them. Congregation. In some churches they call them the parishioners. I don't know in the Baptist, probably in this congregation. He showed me, and they were laced with Prabhupada's philosophy hidden. It was like Prabhupada's teaching, but in Christian terms. It was great. I was so enlivened to read these Christian sermons, which were actually Prabhupadian sermons, you know. But in the Christian way, he was presenting Prabhupada's teachings. It was fantastic. And then I was really happy with the good news. He got initiated by Vir Krishna Maharaj. Because he was there in that area, and he had met him before he met me. I was the second guru he had made contact with. So it was really wonderful to see. Here's a Baptist minister initiated this kind of devotee, keeping his identity secret from all the Baptists. It's still going on as a Baptist minister, Hare Krishna, undercover Hare Krishna. So yeah, they can stay as Christian or Jew or Muslim, whatever, and they can take initiation, no problem. We'll initiate all of them, come on. Myself, my godbrothers, we can initiate all of them. Let them all come. The Muslim imams and the Jewish rabbis, and let them all come. We'll initiate all of them, yeah, let's go for it. Can we use a dharma to protect dharma? That's not, there's no such thing. Anything you do to protect dharma is dharma. Arjuna was thinking how I can use a dharma to protect dharma. It's a dharma to kill my family members. It may be for dharma, but I can't use a dharma for dharma. But no, that is a dharma. Arjuna's reluctance to use so-called a dharma for dharma, that was a dharma. The real dharma is to use everything, even so-called a dharma, in the service of dharma. That is real dharma. Any more questions? I got 8 minutes left, and I got 1 left. If you have questions, fast the floor quickly. If not, we can end early. If we cannot escape evil in our lives, can we fight back with evil in this age of Kali Yuga? No, you don't need to fight back with evil. Fight back with bhakti. It's fighting on behalf of Krishna. You're welcome, you can write them down. So please pass forward any questions you have. We'll be focusing now on a wonderful portion of the Chaitanya Charitamrita from the Adi Lila, in which the Lord Chaitanya's extraordinary mercy is being described. Adi 3, beginning with text 13. Yajeshta Vihari Krishna Kare Antardana Antadamakari Manikari Anumana. Lord Krishna enjoys his transcendental pastimes as long as he wishes, and then he disappears. After disappearing, however, he thinks thus: Shirakala nahi kare prema bhakti dana bhakti vaya jagatera nahi asvathana. For a long time, I have not bestowed unalloyed loving service to me upon the inhabitants of the world. Without such loving attachment, the existence of the material world is useless. Purport. Like Prabhupada. The Lord seldom awards pure transcendental love, but without such pure love of God, freed from fruitive activities and empiric speculation, one cannot attain perfection in life. Sakala jagate more kare vidhi bhakti vrajabhava paite nahi shakti. Everywhere in the world, people worship me according to scriptural injunctions. But simply by following such regulative principles, one cannot attain the loving sentiments of the devotees in Brajabhumi. Aishvarya Gyanete Sabha Jagat Mishrita Aishvarya Shitila Prema Nahi Maraprita. Knowing my opulences, the whole world looks upon me with awe and veneration. But devotion made feeble by such reverence does not attract me. After his appearance, Lord Krishna thought that he had not distributed the transcendental personal dealings with his devotees in dasha, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. One may understand the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Vedic literatures, and thus become a devotee of the Lord and worship Him within the regulative principles described in the scriptures. But one will not know in this way how Krishna is served by the residents of Vrajamuni. One cannot understand the dealings of the Lord in Vrindavan simply by executing the ritualistic, regulative principles mentioned in the scriptures. By following the scriptural injunctions, one may enhance his appreciation for the glories of the Lord, but there is no chance for one to enter into personal dealing with Him. Giving too much giving too much attention to understanding the exalted glories of the Lord reduces the chance of one entering into personal loving affairs with the Lord. To see such principles of such loving dealings, the Lord decided to appear as Lord Chaitanya. Just like in Christianity, for example, there's awe and reverence, nothing but awe and reverence. So that's good up to a point, but you have to, you can't just be afraid of God, you have to love God. That's very important. Aishvarya Gane Vidhi Bhajana Kariya Vaikuntha Keyaya Chattadidda Mukti Pana. By performing such regulated devotional service in awe and renovation, one may go to Vaikuntha and attain the four kinds of liberation. Sharshti Sarupya Arasamipya Salokya Sayujanalaya Bhakta Yatte Prama Aikya. These liberations are Sharshti, achieving opulences equal to those of the Lord. Sarupya, having a form the same as the Lord's, having a form the same as the Lord's. Samipya, living as a personal associate of the Lord, and Salokya, living on the Vaikuntha planet. Devotees never accept Sayuja, however, since it is oneness with Brahman. Purport. Those engaged in devotional service according to the ritualistic principles mentioned in the scriptures attain these different kinds of liberation. But although such devotees can attain Sharshti, Sarupya, Samipya, and Salokya, they are not concerned with these liberations, for such devotees are satisfied only in rendering transcendental loving service of the Lord. The fifth kind of liberation, Sayuja, is never accepted, even by devotees who performed only ritualistic worship. To attain Sayuja, or merging in the Nirvana effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the aspiration of the impersonalists. A devotee never cares for Sayuja liberation. Yuga Dharma Pravartami Yuga Dharma Pravartaimu Nama Sankirtana Shari Bhava Bhakti Deya Nachama Bhuvana. I shall personally inaugurate the religion of the age, Nama Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy name. I shall make the world dance in ecstasy, realizing the four mellows of loving devotional service. Apandi karimu bhakta, bhakta angikare, apandi chari bhakti shakaimu sabare. I shall accept the role of a devotee, and I shall teach devotional service by practicing it myself. Purport. When one associates with a pure devotee, he becomes so elevated that he does not care, he does not aspire even for Sharshti, Sarupya, Samipya, or Salokya, because he feels that such liberation is a kind of sense gratification. Pure devotees do not ask anything from the Lord for their personal benefit. Even if offered personal benefits, pure devotees do not accept them because their only desire is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by transcendental loving service. No one but the Lord Himself can teach this highest form of devotional service. Therefore, when the Lord took the place of the incarnation of Kali Yuga to spread the glories of chanting Hare Krishna, the system of worship recommended in this age, He also distributed the process of devotional service performed on the platform of transcendental spontaneous love. To teach the highest principles of spiritual life, the Lord Himself appeared as a devotee in the form of Lord Chaitanya. Apanena kaila dharma shikana nayaya eti siddhanta gita bhagavate gaya. Unless one practices devotional service himself, he cannot teach it to others. This conclusion is indeed confirmed throughout the Gita and the Bhagavatam. So, this is unique in the Madhva Sampradaya. Because the Gaudiya devotees, the followers of Lord Chaitanya, they are not interested in any kind of liberation. They don't mind if they have to stay in the cycle of birth and death. They just want to keep serving the Lord. Not that Krishna, I will surrender to you if you'll take me back to God. No. They are prepared to stay in the material world. That's what Krishna wants. That's it. Whatever Krishna wants. That's it. They'll take whatever Krishna wants. They don't care. Krishna wants me to go back to Godhead. That's fine. He wants me to take birth again to serve His mission here. That's also fine. The pure devotee has no aspiration for anything for himself. He just wants to do whatever Krishna wants. Whatever Krishna wants, does it. There's one story in this connection, perhaps you've heard this story. There was one king, and he had a prime minister. And this prime minister was Krishna conscious. Whatever would happen, the Prime Minister would say, whatever Krishna does is alright. So one day the king had some accident, he cut off his finger. Prime Minister said, Your Majesty, don't worry, whatever Krishna does is alright. The king became very angry. Oh, what is this nonsense? I cut off my finger, into the dungeon with you rascal. So you know, the kings in Vedic times, they weren't cowards who would stay in the palace when there was a war. They would lead the fight. So to stay in practice in times of peace, they have to kill something. So the wild animals sometimes harass the sages in the forest. So the kings, they would go and they would kill the dangerous animals as a matter of practicing the killing art. They would give relief to the sages, and at the same time they would practice the killing art. That was Kshatriya. Kshatriyas had the right to do that. It's a Vedic culture. So the king, he went on a hunting trip, and he was kidnapped by some dacoits, disciples of goddess Kali, who would make human sacrifice. So they were preparing him for they were going to sacrifice him to goddess Kali, you see. And they gave him his last dinner and everything. But they noticed, oh my goodness, he's missing a finger. We can't offer to Goddess Kali. She'll be angry with us. So they let him go. Now, he was thinking, well, that Prime Minister, there really is some truth in what he said, he was right, but I threw him in the dungeon. I'm such a cruel king when I did that to my Prime Minister. So he immediately headed back to the palace and went down to the dungeon and personally released the Prime Minister and begged forgiveness. He said, Prime Minister was just peacefully there, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, peacefully chanting. And the king said, you're not angry with me? I imprisoned you, but see, I lost my finger, but it saved my life. You're not angry? He said, no, Your Majesty. I usually go on those hunting trips with you, and I have all my fingers. Whatever Krishna does is all right. So, in this way, we have to see that even something appears to be a reverse condition, is it? I lost my finger, I lost this, I lost that. Actually, everything works out perfectly. We just have to have full faith in Krishna and take whatever He arranges as His special mercy upon us. And this way, we'll have the greatest happiness at every minute of our lives. Even if Krishna wants me to stay here in this material world, for a pure devotee, it's not a big deal. You see, he's always with Krishna anyway. He experiences Krishna even within this world. It's described by Bibal Mandala Thakur, he went to Vrindavan and Saradha, he came Saradha. For hundreds of years he lived as a blind man in Vrindavan. But he was actually entering into Krishna's eternal pastimes within his heart. He was actually entering the spiritual world, participating in the leelas of the Lord, even while his body was here on this plane. You see. So a devotee doesn't matter. As long as he's pleasing Krishna, that's all he. The pure devotee only wants to please Krishna. Doesn't matter. You can put him in any condition. Doesn't matter. You can put him in prison. It doesn't matter. You can be in any condition. And he's just happily taking shelter. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. For a devotee, everything is joyous. Actually, it's ecstatic. Just like one time in Atlanta, they came and they arrested the devotees. It took like 100 devotees and put them in jail doing Harinam and Kirtan. They just had a festival. Krishna Swami was leading the Kirtan. They just had a big festival inside the prison, in the jail. We're going to have a festival. Prabhus, we're going to have a festival now. And they just had a wonderful festival. I don't know what they were beating on, they had playing, singing, maybe they're banging on the bunks or something, but they had a wonderful festival, and finally the police let them out, They had a wonderful festival in the jail, So a devotee can be in any condition. I remember when I was in Atlanta, Prabhupada told us, Pittsburgh, yeah. Yeah, Prabhupada told us he just gotten a letter from the devotees in Australia. They're being arrested for doing Harinam Sankirtan. And I wondered if they should hire an attorney and this and that. Prabhupada said, no, just keep chanting Hare Krishna in any condition. And actually the things worked out for them, okay. Prabhupada gave the story, he told us one story in that connection, in the Pittsburgh temple that day in the temple room. He said that there's a cow, he's giving milk to the farmer, you see. And then the farmer said, my dear cow, today I'm taking you to the market, I'm selling you. And the cow was completely undisturbed. He said, doesn't that disturb you? That I'm selling you today in the market? He said, no, I give milk to you, I give milk to someone else, what's the difference? Prabhupada gave that story. So we can chant, in any condition we can chant Hare Krishna. We can chant outside the jail, inside the jail. That was what he told the devotees, just chant Hare Krishna. All we have to do is take out of the Lord in His holy name in any condition, in wealth, in poverty, in sickness, in health, in fame, in infamy, in any condition, in youth, in old age, in any condition. Just go on chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And what did Prabhupada say to Tejas? He said, just go on chanting, just go on chanting, just go on chanting, and all your problems will be solved. Do you have any problems? Sure you do, we all have problems. So this is the universal solution for all our problems. The more we can dive deeply into Krishna's name, the more we will feel how all the problems are gone. Not just feel, they will be gone. They will in fact be gone. The reality is that existence itself is amazingly marvelous. That's called sat, or existence. We are presently in a state of asat. We're identifying with that which we are not, this material body, and therefore we're miserable. All of our anxiety is simply due to misidentifying ourselves with matter. That's it. That's why you're in anxiety about this and that. Because you're misidentifying, you're taking your body to be the self. Asat, you see. So if you will realize, I'm not this body, Aham Brahmasmi, I'm an eternal spiritual being, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, you simply completely absorbing yourself in his service to the extent that you're successful in absorbing your consciousness in that frame. To that extent, the pinches of the material nature will not touch you. But it takes practice. Because we've been conditioned to bodily consciousness for millions and billions of lifetimes. It takes practice. It takes years of practice. To become an expert violinist or an expert pianist, it takes many years to become really top-notch professional pianist, is it? So if you want to become a top-notch Vaishnavist or Krishnaist, you should plan on really dedicating, just like a pianist practices, like anything, to become a master pianist, you see. They spend years and years practicing. They want to become the world's greatest pianist, and they struggle like anything to become great pianists, you see. So that same sort of determination to become a pure devotee of Krishna, we should endeavor like anything to conquer the mind, conquer the senses. Vacha vegam, manasa krodha vegam, shiva vegam mudaropasta vegam, etan vetanyo vishaheta dhira, sarvam apimam pratibim shishusra. One who can conquer over mind, words, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified for spreading this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, making devotees everywhere. So you have to deal with these material desires when they attack you. I get all kinds of complaints from people who are not complaining about their own nonsense. They can't control their senses. They know it's bad, but they still give in to the temptation of the senses. So how is it that one even knows that I'm not the body, sense gratification is degrading me, they still engage in sense gratification? It is due to addiction to sense gratification. So how does one overcome that addiction? That we described in an earlier session. You have to become addicted to Krishna. You have to develop a higher taste. That is the key. You develop a higher taste for Krishna, and the lower taste will no longer attract, just like Jamunacharya Albangu. So try to develop a taste. When you chant your japa, try to feel the presence of Krishna. Try to chant with love, not just mechanically. But try to call out, Krishna is there. Krishna can hear you. Krishna is noting your mood with which you chant his names. In the kirtan, once you try to call out to the Lord and beg for his mercy to save you from this material existence. In this way, try to amp up the quality of everything you're doing. Let me do this for Krishna. In this material world, no one is happy because no one knows where to repose their love. They repose their love in this or that, but they are cheated again and again and again. Therefore, people want to become impersonal. They say love is a 4-letter word. They've been burned so badly by love, this material world. So, don't give your love. Because they had one song in the old days, the Roksha days. Don't give your love to. Don't give your love to a dog or a cat. Give your love to Krishna, who's the source of all that. Something like that. So we need to give our love where it's meant to be given. If you water the root of the tree, then automatically you're watering every leaf and branch in the entire tree. If you just water the leaf or the branch, that leaf or branch is not going to be sufficiently watered, and you're neglecting all the other parts of the tree. So Krishna consciousness means water the roots of the tree, or in another analogy, it means feed your belly. As soon as you feed your belly, now you've nourished all of your bodily parts. Automatic. If you try to feed the bodily parts, so I'll take some rice, rub it on my ear. There's a story mentioned in the Vedic literatures about the parts of the body. They felt they were being cheated by the thumb. So they decided to form a labor union and go on strike against the stomach. So they had their demonstration, like the union workers did. Don't feed the stomach, don't feed the stomach. They were protesting. The stomach is a fascist pig. Don't feed the stomach. With great energy and enthusiasm, they were going on with their strike against the stomach on the first day. The second day, they were feeling a little weak for some reason. The third day, they could hardly even get up on their feet. They were laying down saying, I don't know what's going on, we lost all our energy. I think we should call a meeting of the labor union. And they said, who votes in favor of calling off the strike? And it was unanimous vote. Everybody voted in favor of but the last energy they had left, they voted to call off the strike. You see? So in this way, you see, the parts of the body, they're demanding gratification, but they're not giving you anything, they're just stealing from you. Prabhupada said that if the genitals say, give me sex, you say, no. You see, very heavily, no. The tongue wants to eat something it's not supposed to eat, no. You see, if they're all going to look at here's the internet, how about going on a porno site? No. You see, the eyes may want to see a naked woman, no. You see, you have to be strong. Just like a parent with a child. The senses of screaming, you give me, you don't say, well, okay, no, you say, no. Like that. That's called Goswami, you see. One who staunchly takes the command of the situation. Not weak. Don't be a wimp. Be a hero. A conquering hero over your senses. Goswami, you see. Don't be a spineless wimp. Spineless jellyfish. Whatever the senses want, I give them. No. That's how you remain entrapped in the cycle of birth and live millions of births, because you can give your senses whatever they want for millions of lifetimes. And where do they get you? Another damn rotting material body. That's where it gets you. So don't give in to the pushings of the senses, or the pushings of the senses of your family members or your friends. Well, it's not for me, it's for my family. But you know something? Prabhupada calls that extended sense gratification. So there's concentrated sense gratification serving my senses. You see? An extended sense gratification serving the senses of my family members. Well, I don't engage in illicit sex. My wife is really bothered, so I gave her illicit to satisfy her. I don't need it, but I'm detached. But for her benefit, I do. Now that's called extended sense gratification. Gratifying the good senses of the family members. One needs to focus on Krishna. That will make a perfect marriage. You don't need to indulge your family members in sense gratification. The perfection of family life is to make Krishna the center of that marriage. Put Krishna in the center and you'll have a relationship that will nourish you, will nourish your spouse, nourish your children, and anyone else who comes in contact with your family will be nourished by your family if you keep Krishna at the center of that family. But if you engage your family, facilitate their desires for material sense gratification, you're denying them the opportunity to go back to Godhead. You're denying yourself the opportunity to go back to Godhead. Therefore, keep Krishna always the center in everything. Friends, family, everything that you do, always keep Krishna in the center. And then you'll reap unlimited rewards. I guarantee you, unlimited wonderful treasures await those who keep Krishna in the center at every minute, in all times, all places, and all circumstances. So I see some questions have come. Three questions so far. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, which seva is big? Manav seva or deity seva? Manav, serving mankind. No? Yeah. They say that Manav seva is real seva and deity seva is not very important. That's what the materialists say. You must serve man. Well, my question is, what service you're doing to men? That's my question. Well, we're feeding the people. Okay, that's all right. You're relieving them from their temporary hunger, but will they be hungry tomorrow? Oh yes, they'll be hungry tomorrow. In their next life, they'll also be hungry. So, how much benefit are you giving them? Just by giving them temporary relief of their hunger, which will come back in a few hours anyway. And we don't say you shouldn't feed people. But we're saying if you want to feed them, give them prasadam. And give them Krishna consciousness. Give them Hare Krishna Kirtan. If you simply serve the material senses of the people, that's your own extended sense gratification. It's not really service. It's another form of sense gratification. Real service or big service is when you actually liberate those people from the entanglement of birth and death. Now you're doing very, very big service. There's a saying, of course it's a crude example because we don't fish or eat fish. But it's saying you can give a man a fish and satisfy his hunger for one day, or you can teach him to fish and satisfy his hunger for an entire lifetime. It's a crude example. So in the same way, you can relieve somebody's suffering temporarily by giving them food, shelter, medicine, etc., clothing, housing, etc. I don't say those things are wrong, but that's all you do. You've not really relieved that person from suffering, because he's still going to get sick, he's still going to get old, and he's still going to die. So if you instead give him, you can give him those things, that's all right. But even more importantly, you must give him knowledge of his actual spiritual identity. You must give him the holy names of the Lord. You see? Because that will relieve him even more than the other things of his anxieties. That will liberate him back to his eternal identity in his pastimes of Lord Krishna, far beyond the sufferings of this material world. So the big service is to give people Krishna consciousness. And the deity worship is part of the process of Krishna consciousness, because it helps us to focus our minds on Krishna. You see? We can do a kirtan, but if there's a kirtan in front of the altar, it becomes even more enlivening. The deities are not, the deity worship is not the Yuga Dharma for this age. Nama Sankirtan is the Yuga Dharma for this age. Deity worship is the Yuga Dharma in the Dwapara Yuga, not the Kali Yuga. The deity worship, a very, very simplified form of deity worship, is accepted in this age of Kali because it helps us to take shelter of the names. The name is the most important thing, the name of Krishna. Just like Prabhupada told a house of a couple, they wanted deities. He said, no, the books are deities. They're distributing books. That is kirtan. That's Sankirtan. The greatest Sankirtan is book distribution. And that reminds me, today I want to distribute books. I want to distribute 20 Nectar Devotions. That's my quota. That's all. We have 20 hardbound Nectar Devotions here. If you're inspired by this seminar and you really want to be serious about it, this is the book you need to study, cover to cover, again and again and again. And anybody who takes a book today, I'll give you a written blessing in the book. You just come forward after you purchase the book, only $10 Canadian. Our nice hardbound book with color plates. You come right here and it's a bargain. The bookstore will be much more expensive. You come here and I'll give you a written